Welcome to eSports Hero Café, where we talk about any and all esports. I'm your host, Bowman Shota, and today we're going to dive into criticism. Now, criticism can be a challenging thing for a lot of people, and especially for people who have put in long hours achieving a certain status, skill, or goal. And in esports, criticism can fly as soon as a person steps off the stage. So how you handle criticism can actually adversely affect your career. Now, the thing to remember, it's not just players who receive criticism. Teams and coaches and organizations and even journalists and production crews receive criticism on a daily basis. And understanding how to take criticism, but also how to give criticism, is very important, and that's what we're going to break down in today's video. Now, there's three types of criticisms that can be dished out, and those are constructive criticisms, which are the type of criticisms you actually want to receive because it will help you grow in your career. Non-constructive criticism, like those wonderful Game of Thrones references of "you know nothing, Jon Snow." And then the last is trash talk, which we're going to dive into first. Now, trash talk is a part of all competitive scenes, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon, but it can be demoralizing in that moment as you're getting ready to play that game, whether it's the opposing team trash talking, across the hall, or even the opposing coaches, or trash talk on Twitter. Trash talk, is going to happen, and understanding how to deal with it in the best way so that way it doesn't affect your game and it doesn't affect your performance is very important. So, the best tips to handle trash talk is one, think before you speak. Engaging in the trash talk and throwing back the first thing that pops in your head, unless it's like a really clever, witty comeback, is probably not the best bet. You want to make sure you focus and embrace your humor if you are going to engage in the trash talk back, and you never want to steep to the same vulgar or derogatory level that your opponents do. If they're taking it to a nasty place, don't follow them with that trash talk. Now, humor, in my opinion, is the best way to handle trash talk, because if you can laugh off their trash talk and make them smile in return, then it's fun trash talk, and it's always going to look good, and you may even get some good sound bites that get posted around, and lots of people love it. So a good way to kind of that I've handle it, if in case I don't think of a witty comeback, is I pretend I can't hear them. I'll be like, what'd you say? Or just put my ear up here, and then, usually they'll say it louder, and then I'll go, still can't hear you, and they'll actually then look silly themselves, especially if they keep trying to say it louder and louder, because now they're just, yelling across the hall, and usually, the third time around, whatever they said, doesn't have an effect. But that way, then, I don't lose my focus, because I embrace the humor side of it, and it's a quick and easy way to rebuttal, to respond to the trash talk without losing your focus, because at the end of the day, these types of criticisms, are usually useless criticisms, but they can get under your skin, and you want to make sure you have a way to deter it or embrace it in a way that allows you to still focus on the match, because trash talk can actually help, ingrain determination in you as well, because, if they, criticize your aim or your skill and something like that, you also, a way to embrace it is to then, fight harder in that match, or work harder at achieving the goals you want to do, to actually then prove to them that their trash talk was invalid. So remember at the end, winning is what matters. Now, the next type of criticism is non-constructive criticism, and honestly, this type of criticism should generally be ignored. Unfortunately, it's the most common type of criticism on the internet. With Twitter and the various other social medias, and the anonymity that comes with it, it allows people to spot off nonsense at light speed. And to be honest, it is even hard to ignore when you just glance at your notifications on Twitter, and you just, you see the little briefs, and it's just a bunch of nonsense that's derogatory, and it can be demoralizing. Now, it's not always the best way just to ignore it completely, though. You do want to go through it, but what I do is I take time to actually, I set aside and I mentally prepare myself to dive in to all that nonsense and deal with all the fan logic, as some people say, and go through it, because there are kernels of actually insight through that giant mess that you may want to actually use and look at. So mentally preparing yourself before you wade into that, so that way it's just going to flow right off your shoulders and it doesn't matter, is huge and important. But overall, non-constructive criticism, again, the Jon Snow knowing nothing references, generally can be ignored because they're just kind of a waste of time, your time at least. So now the last one is constructive criticism, and this is the one I kind of want to focus on because this is the type of criticism you want to receive, and it's also the type of criticism you want to give. So now when you receive this criticism, usually you want to ignore your first reaction. You want to stop it in its tracks because most people's natural reaction to criticism is to get upset or a little bit angry, and you want to remember constructive criticism isn't there to berate you. It's there to help you, and so you got to remember the benefit of getting feedback. Okay, getting feedback is how we improve and how we grow. No one's perfect, and mistakes should be viewed as lessons on how to grow and develop. So listen for understanding. Take a minute and pause and actually listen to what they're saying, and even ask questions to deconstruct the feedback to help you better understand what they're saying. Also remember, say thank you. If someone gives you good constructive criticism that actually reveals a huge insight to like a flaw in your play or your performance, say thank you for them pointing it out, because now you can work on that. Now you can take that criticism and actually then apply it towards your practice, towards your work ethic, so you can actually improve on it. And another key tip that a lot of people forget is if you receive good constructive criticism, request time to follow up, to where you can take time yourself to improve on whatever they criticize, but then you can follow up with that person and they can let you know if you've improved or if you're going in the wrong direction than what you thought their criticism was. Now, and this is important when you're going to give criticism as well. You want to make sure you give constructive criticism. Before you criticize someone, take a minute and actually think about, what are they actually doing wrong? What did you, some people are watching something and they have that cringe moment of going, oh, why did they do that? Well, break it down. Why you think they did that? What could have been the different variables and the different things that could have affected their decision making in the moment, and break it down for them when you give that criticism. When you're talking about like in League of Legends, whether it's your creep score, and you realize that they were falling behind consistently against the other players, for their position, mention that to them and be like, hey, I know you're focusing on tower pushing and all that stuff, which is good for your strategy, but you also want to have in the back of your mind, making sure you're getting those occasional last hits, making sure you're actually getting the gold from killing minions, not just the experience. You don't want to end up being behind in gold even though you're ahead in kills and the other team beats you in a big team fight because they have more items because they maintain that creep score. So giving constructive criticism is just as important as receiving it. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. That's it for me. Tune in every week for another episode of eSports Hero Café, where we're going to talk about lots of different topics. We are going to have some special guests over the next couple weeks, so look forward to that. Other than that, share, like, and favorite this as you see fit, and you all have a wonderful day.